In today's society, engineers have taken on some of humanity's greatest challenges, which include reversing the brain, making solar energy more economic, and so much more. One of these challenges include restoring the environment from the damage we have done. In 1952, the civilians of London woke up to this very thick, yellowish-brownish looking fog that smelled like rotten eggs. This so-called fog was mainly caused by all the coal factories within the city. As the days went on, it was harder to see and harder to breathe. And by the third day, the smog caused civilians to have lung inflammations and even suffocating them to death. Roughly 12,000 people were killed by the carbon emissions. This event is most formally known as the London Smog of 1952. Our carbon emissions have risen from 1,600 million metric tons to 36,000 million metric tons since 1865. Despite our best efforts, the number is not declining. In order to save the next generation, we need to start making big changes in our environment. And one of those ways is carbon capture and sequestration, also known as CSS. There are a few main types of carbon capture, almost all of which happens at power plants, capturing carbon that comes directly from the plant. In post-combustion carbon capture, the CO2 is captured after the fossil fuel is burned. In this method, CO2 is separated from the flue gas, which includes CO2, water vapor, sulfur dioxide, and nitrogen oxides, by bubbling gas through an absorber column packed with liquid solvents, such as ammonia. In the most widely used system, once the chemicals in the absorber column become saturated, a stream of superheated steam at around 120 degrees Celsius is passed through it. This releases the trapped CO2, which can be transported for storage elsewhere. In pre-combustion carbon capture, CO2 is trapped before it's diluted by other flue gases. The fossil fuel is heated in pure oxygen, resulting in a mix of carbon monoxide and hydrogen. The carbon monoxide is reacted with water to produce carbon dioxide, which is captured along with hydrogen. The hydrogen can be used to produce electricity, and the carbon dioxide is stored. Pre- and post-combustion carbon capture can prevent 80 to 90% of a power plant's carbon emissions from entering the atmosphere. However, the carbon just can't disappear. It has to be stored somewhere. It is most often stored underground in a process called geological sequestration, which involves injecting carbon dioxide into underground rock formations. The carbon dioxide is stored as a supercritical fluid, meaning it has properties between those of a gas and a liquid. A lot of the time, the carbon dioxide is injected into a reservoir which previously has trapped oil and gas, since those areas have natural rock formations that help to contain the carbon dioxide. This might be an okay solution for now, but no one really knows what environmental impact it could be in the future. Scientists are concerned that the carbon dioxide will soon leak into our ecosystems and destroy a lot of the life forms on our planet. Other methods of storing carbon include sinking it deep below the ocean at depths under 3,500 meters, where it turns into a slushy material that would sink into the ocean floor under that amount of pressure. But the thing is, this method is largely untested, and again, there are no concerns about what this could mean for marine life, and there's an uncertainty on whether or not the carbon dioxide could eventually make its way back into our environment. But recently, a team of scientists from Harvard University and the Bill Gates-funded company Carbon Engineering announced that they have found a method to cheaply pull carbon dioxide pollution out of the atmosphere. It would cost between $1 and $2.50 to remove the carbon dioxide released by a single gallon of gasoline in a modern car. And not only do they suck the carbon dioxide out of the air with the ability to store it, but they will also transform the carbon back into gasoline or jet fuel, creating net neutral carbon-based fuels. While this sounds too good to be true, the methods they use to pull carbon dioxide out of the air is not too different from what they had already been doing for decades. This certain type of air capture starts with an air contractor, where air is sucked in at high volumes. This structure wet scrubs the air by using a strong hydroxide solution to capture CO2 and convert it into carbonate. The hydroxide solution reacts with carbon dioxide to form carbonate ions. This occurs within a structure which is much the same as an industrial cooling tower. The next step involves a pellet reactor, where the carbonate ion reacts with calcium to form calcium carbonate in the form of dried pellets. Then a circulating fluid heats the calcium carbonate pellets to decomposition temperature, breaking them apart to release the carbon dioxide as a gas and leave behind the calcium oxide. Finally, the carbon dioxide is combined with hydrogen and converted into liquid fuels, including gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel, using the Fischer-Tropsch process. This is a process where a mixture of carbon monoxide and hydrogen are converted into liquid hydrocarbons. This reactions occur in the presence of metal catalysts and typically at temperatures of 100 to 300 degrees Celsius. At the end of the day, storing and converting carbon emissions is very expensive, and there is not a lot of business for it, but it helps us reduce the carbon footprint we have placed on this planet. Engineers will keep working on ways to make this more efficient and effective for the future.